What we have today is a Thomas T2 ceiling fan. Thomas was a company that very briefly made ceiling fans in the early to mid 1980s that very much copied the look of the Fasco parlor fan. They primarily had two different looks to their fans. There was one with a downrod and one that was a hugger. And then each of those models came in two different sizes, so technically they had four different models, I suppose. The T2 was the 52-inch size of the hugger model. As seen here, this one is in white, and it has white wood grain blades that have yellowed out quite a bit. So at some point soon I will need to soak these in hydrogen peroxide to de-yellow them. There's the tag. Has a cardboard box variable speed control in it that is set up the same way as Fasco's Vari-Low, with the first pull chain setting being straight high, or absolute high as I sometimes call it, and then the second pull being the variable setting. And this fan does have a stack motor in it. It is one of the very few hugger fans ever manufactured that uses a stack motor. And it is basically what a Fasco parlor fan would look like if it were a hugger, so for that reason the novelty is kind of neat. Anyways, we'll go ahead and start it up on low. Low as per the variable speed. I got the ceiling fan from Robbie Lawrence at Tom Zapf's vintage/antique fan meet in June of 2021. Needless to say, I've had this fan for a long time now, and I'm finally getting around to installing and running it, which I'm very happy about. The primary reason it took so long is because the way these fans mount does not make them necessarily compatible with any old testing rig I have. The mounting plate is a big disc, essentially, a big metal disc, and the wires go through it and stick out the top by design, which means that there needs to be a junction box there, because if there's not, and if it's just like drywall or wood, the wires will get squashed, which is obviously not good at all. There were a few spots before I could have hung this fan, however, the timing never really worked out, so this fan had to wait quite a while for its turn, but now it's finally going up. And I did post a video of a Thomas T3 earlier this year, but this was my first ever Thomas fan, as the T3 I got on my way back from the Fanimation trip in summer of 2022. Fan, of course, has that illustrious 60-cycle hum, and there's also some vibration of the blades. I put the screws on as tight as I could get them, but they still vibrate a little bit, so what are you going to do? It's a rather nice fan. I'm not a huge fan of the wood grain blades, especially since they're kind of yellow, but otherwise I really like it. It is not too common you see a fan of this type of quality build that has such high ceiling clearance. Or rather, low ceiling clearance. It's high up to the ceiling, and it can clear a low ceiling, is what I meant to say. Okay, that's just shy of full speed on the variable. There is barely a difference between full speed on the very low setting and high, so when we get up to full speed on the variable, that's pretty much as fast as it'll go. There we go. That's full speed on the Vari-Low. Spins pretty fast for the heavy wood grain blades, or faux wood grain made of plastic. And then that's high by the pull chain, which again is the same thing. No change in speed there. Of course, the only difference is now turning this doesn't do anything. Fan is very well balanced. I did notice the blades look to be a little bit warped, but in spite of that, the fan is still nigh wobble free. It is putting off a lot of air. And there you go, a Thomas T2 ceiling fan in white.